Fact-checking the vice presidential debate. Harris on China trade war.
You lost that trade war. You lost it. What ended up happening is because of a so-called trade war with China, America lost 300,000 manufacturing jobs.
The U.S. actually gained 146,000 manufacturing jobs after the president's tariffs on Chinese goods went into effect July 6, 2018, and before the COVID-19 pandemic forced mass layoffs in March. Harris was referring to an estimate from frequent Trump critic Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics, who has estimated that the China trade war resulted in 300,000 fewer total jobs being created in the U.S. But that's not just manufacturing, and it refers to jobs that might have been created but weren't, not a loss of current jobs. PENCE on climate change.
With regard to climate change, the climate is changing, but the issue is, what's the cause and what do we do about it? President Trump has made it clear that we're going to continue to listen to the science.
Scientists have a very good idea of what's causing climate change: humans. The U.S. government's own 2018 National Climate Assessment clearly states that the issue is far from unsettled. Global average temperature has increased by about 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit from 1901 to 2016, and observational evidence does not support any credible natural explanations for this amount of warming. Instead, the evidence consistently points to human activities, especially emissions of greenhouse or heat-trapping gases, as the dominant cause. Harris on COVID-19.
The president said it was a hoax.
Trump referred to the Democrats' new hoax after talking about the coronavirus at a rally on February 28th in South Carolina, but clarified the next day he was referring to Democrats finding fault with his administration's response to the coronavirus, not the virus itself. Here he is at the rally.
Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. You know that, right? Coronavirus. They're politicizing it. We did one of the great jobs. You say, how's President Trump doing? They go, oh, not good, not good. They have no clue. They don't have any clue. They tried the impeachment hoax. They tried anything, and this is their new hoax.
The following day, after the first death in the U.S. from the coronavirus, Trump said, hoax referring to the action that they take to try and pin this on somebody because we've done such a good job. The hoax is on them, I'm not talking about what's happening here. I'm talking what they're doing. That's the hoax. PENCE on strategic national stockpile.
They left the strategic national stockpile empty.
Some personal protective equipment, such as N95 respirator masks, distributed from the stockpile to states during 2009's H1N1 influenza pandemic, was not restocked. But that doesn't mean there were none of those items available when Trump was inaugurated. As of 2016, the year before Trump took office, there were at least 6 warehouses holding approximately $7 billion in products across more than 900 separate line items, according to a report from the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. Among the items, 16,660 ventilators, more than the Trump administration ended up distributing amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Hence on fracking/fossil fuels.
They want to abolish fossil fuels and ban fracking, which would cost hundreds of thousands of American jobs all across the heartland.
At times during the Democratic primary, Biden did tell environmental activists and protesters that he would end or get rid of fossil fuels. But the climate change plan that Biden has proposed does not include a full ban on either fossil fuels or fracking. It calls for banning new oil and gas permitting on public lands and waters. That would allow for existing fracking permits to continue on federal lands, and does nothing to prohibit fracking in non-federal areas, where most crude oil and natural gas is produced. As for fossil fuels generally, Biden's plan is to reduce the reliance on them and reach net zero emissions no later than 2050. In theory, this allows fossil fuels to be used with carbon capture technologies or other sequestration efforts.